and I will schedule those, and then I'll do extra ones as well. Um, so it's all good. Just keep rocking with your boy. I mean, that's all I gotta say. Keep rocking with your boy. Let's see. As always, I'm trying to find myself on the stream so I could join my own stream. So that's what I'm looking down for. Bear with me on this. And we got a good one in store for you. There we are. We got a good one in store for you. We got one of my homies from over on the Fresh and Fit side of the world, and he's a Patreon. He's a big supporter of that platform and what we got going on over there. And the brother is good at finance, as in the sense of planning and budgeting and what it means to dig your way out of some financial holes that you might find yourself in, which most Americans do these days. Um, and it's really it hit me up. He's like, "Hey, bro, I want to get on here and talk about this." And he's like, "I'm no expert or anything like that. I want to share with people what I did and tell my story of how I was able to go from here to get to there." And he's a solid brother. And I'm like, you know what? Absolutely, because that's how we got to do. We support each other. YouTube has provided us a platform in which regular folks can get on and help one another. It's not about getting the likes up. It's not about getting the views up. It's not about making yourself famous. It's about helping one another. So there's a lot of things that I don't like about the social media age. There's a lot of things I don't like about Instagram and Facebook. But this is one thing I really like about YouTube. If you got a problem, you go to YouTube and you will probably be able to solve that problem with people like us who are just being honest and open and just sharing our experiences, and hopefully that'll help someone out. So that's what we're going to do. And I understand how it could be. I'm looking at policyadvice.net, and on here it talks about what is the average American individual income, and the real median personal income in the U.S. in 2019 was $35,977 a year, and they get that from FRED, with FRED, which is the Federal Reserve Economic Data. That's where they get those data points. And then it goes on to say, what is a good salary in 2021? And they were saying a weekly median earnings for a full-time wage or salary worker in the United States in the second quarter of 2021 amounted to $990. It translates to a yearly income of approximately $51,480. Any amount above that should theoretically be considered a good salary. However, it is not easy as that. What is considered a good salary in one city may not be in another. Other factors that determine a good salary are a type of job, level of education, and sadly, even gender and race. And that information comes from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So, Saint, why you throwing these numbers out there? Just want to show that we know it's hard out there. You go to Instagram and you see everybody getting on their private jets and they're floating around in their yachts and they're driving in their exotic cars. These people are the outliers. The outliers. That's not the average American, right? That's not the average American. The average American can't afford an unexpected expense of $400 or $500. That's the average American. So we're gonna talk about how can you combat this? How can you overcome this and get yourself into a position that puts you in the higher tiers of American society without necessarily being a millionaire? And Chris is absolutely the guy we're going to talk to about that. So without further ado, let's bring the brother on. What's good, Chris, man?
Hey Don, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, man, thanks for coming through, man. So, and Romaine, what's good, brother? I see you out here early Sunday morning, probably in the car where everybody else is in church. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the love. Um, so you heard my intro, brother,
Yeah, man.
and I know a little bit about your story. So let's get right into it, man. Unless you
All right.
wanted to speak on the things I just said,
No,
I could
actually,
just
that it's funny you mentioned that because those are a couple of talking points that I had on my notes too.
Oh, that's
that
what's
we
up
can
then.
get
What?
into.
Well, shoot, man. Let's just get into it, brother. Without further ado, let's sit back and relax. And Chris, let's hear your backstory, brother.
All right. So I can relate, man, because I used to be in that same predicament where I didn't have a whole lot to deal with if an emergency came up, right? And so I guess I could tell you the backstory of how my journey started and where I was and how I was just doing things like a normal person, right? You know, it was expected that you're always going to have a mortgage, always going to have a car payment, you're going to have credit card debt, medical bills, and whatnot. Like that was just the thing that was going to happen, right? And so I was going about, my life just like like anybody would. And so, I had the mortgage, had the car payment, had the credit card debt, had medical bills, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, well, this is just normal. This is expectations, right? And so when the recession hit, things started happening, man. And I got to a point where I had another situation come up, right? Because when you're paycheck to paycheck and things are hard and everything's being a struggle, right? It's the whole Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, right? And it hurts, right? It affects you. And so I had an expense come up. I didn't have the money for it. I went to the bank and they told me no for the first time ever. And I had always gotten my approvals, right? I had always gotten approved for anything I asked for. I had a great credit score, all that jazz. But they told me, like, yo, your utilization is too high and your DTI is too high, which is your debt to income ratio. And that was the wake up call, right? So this is about 2010, 2011 or something. And I was like, yo, something has to change, man. Something has to change.
So
And
let me pause you right there. So you're basically telling me that you had that, let's call it a blue pill mindset when it came to finances. You kind of went along with the herd. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you went along with the herd and you were able every time something came up, well, I'll just run to the bank or I'll just use my credit card or I'll just do these things. And then one day, boom, they said no.
yeah,
Wow.
the first time I've ever been told no, right? Because the banker was always like, yeah, we'll give you a credit line. Yeah, another credit card. Yeah, another loan. No problem. And then all of a sudden I was like, yo, this has never happened to me. And that was the wake up call. I was like, I got to do something different,
Wow.
right?
So and Ramon's out there, bro. If you with us, man, feel free to hit the chat up if you got any questions or any comments, or if you've even experienced this yourself. Feel free to jump in there, man, and leave some comments. So okay, so blue pill, like a lot of people they hear red pill, blue pill, and they always thinks about relationships and sexual
Yeah,
dynamic. I always say that the red pill is simply being aware
yeah,
and coming away from the herd and the herd mentality, or even as brother Andrew Tate says, it's resisting the slave mentality. Because it sounds to me that you're just everything is great,
yeah.
but it really isn't.
It's being normal. It's
Yeah,
being normal.
everything is normal, but it really isn't. And then all of a sudden you get smacked in the face. So okay, continue.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I got to make changes. So that's what I started doing. I was like, okay, let me take a look at my finances. Let me try to dig myself out of this hole that I put myself into, right? So the first thing was, okay, stop accruing debt, right? And then I was like, yo, I need a little bit of a cushion, which was like an emergency fund, but I didn't know what that was at the time. So I stashed away like I want to say 2, 3 grand or something like that as a safety net, and then I started attacking the debt. So at the time, I wasn't aware of what I was doing, so I was doing what's called as the snowball uh, attack, right, for your debt. So essentially, like you're paying off your smallest debts up to your largest debts, right? Versus the avalanche where you're paying off the highest interest debt, right? So what's what I started doing. I knocked out some of the small medical bills, and then I started knocking out the credit cards, and then all of a sudden I started getting momentum. And at the same time, life threw me a bone, man, and I got a new job that was higher paying, right? So that helped. And then like 18 months out of that, I got a promotion and a raise that was significant. At least at the time, I thought it was, and that helped me out, get some more momentum. And then a couple of windfalls like bonuses and whatnot. And I started chucking it out, but I still wasn't making progress, man. But I was doing better. I was like, okay, I got a little bit of money in the bank as my cushion. The debt is starting to shrink, but I still wasn't making the progress that I was making, and I wasn't really happy with where I was living. I was a little bit tired of being a homeowner at that point because I had a little condo that I had bought, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do something drastic. I'm selling everything. I'm gonna pay off everything, and I'm just gonna go rent a room. Right, 35 years old, man. I'm renting a room, right?
Whoa,
And people
whoa.
were like, "What?
So hold
What are
hold
you
on. So
doing?"
you sold everything. You got to clarify exactly what you sold. The clothes on your back, the house you were living in, your car. Like, what do you mean by everything?
So the only thing that I kept was like clothes, a little bit of like house stuff, like some favorite like kitchen gadgets that I had. I was like, yo, I'm not giving these up because these are just like really good stuff. Right, a few of those things, my clothes, my car at the time, which was also another mistake that I can get into, right? And like I sold all my furniture. I think all I kept was like a dresser, right? I even sold my bed. I sold my living room set, dining room set. The majority, like I probably sold or gave away like 90% of my kitchen stuff, right? The house had its refrigerator and appliances. I was like, I left that behind, right? So like I sold pretty much. I probably got rid of like 90% of my stuff at that point.
So when you did this, and we're just
People
gonna
thought I was
talk the
crazy.
hard, let's talk the hard numbers. But I know it was crazy. And here's the thing: to me, it's not shocking that you went into a roommate situation or rent a room because as everyone knows, I lived in LA for 25 years or so, and that is the norm. It's even worse now. Families would be sharing a house now
Yeah.
in the suburbs. So when you did this, what year was this?
Well, this is like 2016, 2017, around that time frame.
Not so it's not too terribly long ago.
No.
You liquidated everything. So
Yeah.
hard numbers with that money. How much of your debt was you able to pay off? Did it pay off all your debt, or did it pay off like a good chunk
No, no,
of
no.
it?
It took care of everything. At that point, I still had about $32,000, something like that. I'm just going off of memory, man. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I had a little bit of money in the bank, and then the sale of the house, I think, gave me like 19 grand in my pocket, something like that. So I had a car. Oh yeah, let me back up. I bought this car in 2015 because I thought I was doing so well for myself. I was like, yo, I need a new car, and I went and got this. I love this thing, man. It was the 2015 Subaru WRX STI, and that car was awesome. Like I love that damn thing, but it was stupid. Like I have a side story to that. So I bought this car. It was amazing. I loved it, but the irony was that I was also cross shopping Porsche 911s, right? The funny part of the story is if I would have bought the 911, that would have been a better financial decision.
Yeah,
One,
were you gonna buy the 911 used, or were you gonna buy it used
it
new?
was used. It was used at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
right? It cost less. The insurance was better, and it was about the same gas mileage, right?
yeah. And it was
And
a better car. I mean, it's gonna hold its value a lot better. I mean,
yeah,
Subaru people love Subarus, but
I
Porsche versus Subaru, no choice. I mean, there's no competition as far as the resale value is. And Candace M was good.
hey Candace,
That's
what's going on?
Candace, another fresh and fit
Yeah,
goddess. Just
she on the
stop her to
mod
say
team too.
hello, huh?
She on the mod team too, man. What's up,
Yeah,
Candace?
she's a monster mod out there, her and Demon and everyone else. So just stop through to say hello to you, DL Saint, and at the fam, G Complex 217. Thank you, Ken. It means a lot when you stop in. It really does. Appreciate
Yeah,
that. So okay. Yeah. We're gonna double back to the car thing. I'm gonna add that to the to my last bullet point here. Cars and like cause that's my thing. I will never ever buy another new car in my life. I don't care how much money I have. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm
that was
not
a
gonna
tough
do it.
one, and it was the first new car I ever bought, right? So I was like in the middle of trying to get out of myself, and then I dug myself back in, right? And
Yeah.
so it was just a funny thing to look back on and be like, damn, like a 911 really would have been a better idea. Like it's nuts to say that, but it really was, right? So anyway, so I bought this car, loved it, owned it for like 5.5 years, and so I buy, I'm sorry, I sell everything, I pay off the car, pay off the remaining credit card debt, and then all of a sudden, like I'm debt free. I've from like the first time since I was like I don't know 19 or something like that, right?
Completely zero.
Yeah, zero. My all of a sudden I had a positive net worth. I was like, this is nuts, right? And so I'm thinking, okay, great. So I think so I bought, so I rented this room from this old Puerto Rican lady, man. She was a character, by the way. And so the rent was like 500 bucks. At the same time, my income is also starting to grow up because I'm working crazy hours, right? So getting overtime at that point, and now I'm starting to save money, starting to invest, but I still didn't know what the hell I was doing. All I knew was like put money in savings, put money in the 401k, and put money in this mutual fund that I had gotten from like way back in the day that my parents set up for me, right? So I'm doing this, and I'm I'm starting to make progress, but I'm also traveling because now I have all this extra income because my expenses are crazy low. I think my total expenses for a whole month with insurance, rent, um, phone, that kind of thing. Gas and groceries was like $800, right? And at this point, I'm probably making like, I don't know, 70K or something like that.
And what state were you living?
This is in Texas, right?
All right. So I mean, yeah, boy, you up there.
Right. And so I'm living life. So I'm taking trips. I was probably in that time frame doing like 6 or 7 trips a year, right? Just because I can, right? Just because I was like, yo, I'm doing it. And I had a ton of vacation time, right? Because the work was crazy at that point. And then uh, I had to move because of work because the commute was just going to kill me. So I did that, and I started getting a little bit better with my finances. Even though my expenses have gone up, but at the same time the income's going up. Right then, I'm starting to figure out about brokerage accounts, Roth IRAs, index funds, and all of a sudden I'm just like, okay, I need to get in on the action. So I opened up a brokerage account, opened up a Roth IRA, started researching what was good, right? So then now I'm opening up index funds, dividend stocks, right? That's going to pay you, right, on both my brokerage and my Roth IRA. And all of a sudden, I'm just starting to see it grow. And I was like, yo, I'm making some progress. So then I start watching more videos on finance, following more YouTubers, reading articles. And I'm just like, yo, what am I was like, I need to like step it up. And now all of a sudden, my net worth is starting to grow. My finances are fine. I got an emergency fund. And I'm just like, yo, this is 10. Well, now it's 12 years later from that moment. And I can't believe where I'm at, man. Like, I
So that's
literally was
what's
like
up.
the normal person, just living life paycheck to paycheck, debt, bills. And now, when I told you like stuff would go wrong, it would hurt. Now, like stuff doesn't go wrong now all of a sudden.
Right,
Like,
because it doesn't hurt, and that makes sense. So there's the origin story, man, and that's what's up. That's a good one. So, and I wanted to real quick touch on two things. First, when you started opening your IRAs and stuff like that, did you do it through work? Did you do it through HR, or did you like go through outside sources, or did you do both?
no, okay. So the work is like I just have the 401k, right? And then I went through an outside bank, which is my personal bank at the time. I opened up my Roth IRA and then my brokerage account. And so now like it's just through a brokerage, right? Because they split off or something like that, right? And so I personally just use Schwab, right? Because they've got a good platform. But Robinhood, Vanguard, Fidelity, Webull, like those are all places that you could utilize to open up these accounts and buy stocks, right? Index
And by
funds.
the way, people, we're not financial experts. We're
Yes,
not giving financial
not
advice. We're
financial
just
advice.
sharing. Yeah, we're just sharing our stories. Ramon sacrificed everything to purchase a house. Now I'm kind of at a low point, trying to get another stream of income. Now, you definitely gonna need another stream of income, and we're definitely gonna touch on that as we delve into Chris's story. So, and there was another thing I wanted to ask you, Chris. When you did all this, how long does it take to get debt free? I mean, is it a fast process? Is it a slow process? Like, because
It
when you tell a
depends.
story, people think, oh, it's just like that.
No, man. This this journey started in 2011, right? That was when I had that moment where the bank was like, nope, we're not going to extend you any more credit. And so I had to change, and that was right around the same time I got the new job with the pay increase, and I was like, okay, life threw me a little bit of a bone, but I still had to dig myself out of it, man. So this is like a long journey. So the journey from starting to change my scenario of being normal and being in debt to being debt free was like 5 years, right? And that's because I was doing the best I could without all the knowledge. So I don't know if anybody's heard of Dave Ramsey, but I kind of followed his plan before I even knew who Dave Ramsey was. So I was almost done with my debt journey by the time I found out. I was like, oh, I was doing his plan. I didn't even realize it, right? Having the small emergency fund, doing the debt snowball, and I was like, oh, well, hell, now I understand why it works for so many people, right? Even though mathematically it doesn't make sense, right? Because you want to attack the high interest debt first. But this way, it gives people momentum, and they start seeing the progress. They're just like, hell, I could do it. That's what I started doing, man. And the other thing that you can do is you can take drastic steps like I did. You can be like, yo, I'm selling everything. I'm getting the hell out, right? You can make those big changes, or you can bring in more streams of income. The guys talking about Myron specifically. You should be working like crazy no matter what, right? You should be using your house to sleep and shower, and that's it. And so at the time, I was starting to work a lot more hours. So then I was really getting in more money. So I was utilizing the money that I was getting in to pay towards the debt. And I was starting to make progress because I was getting overtime. So I was getting some fat checks at the time. That's what at least I thought they were fat checks, but it was all going towards debt, man. And so I would tell people like, yo, if you can work overtime, do that. If you can't, second jobs. And right now, there's all kinds of opportunities to make money.
All
Like it's
kinds,
crazy,
man. And
you know.
and, and we touched on the fact that most Americans are living paycheck to
Yeah,
paycheck, man. And I like to term it uh, the blue pill financial lens. Like people like, oh, it's paycheck to paycheck. You're living on credit. So I mentioned that the emergencies, right? So
yeah,
this I pulled up from the Federal Reserve.gov, and it talks about 35% of adults um, what they would do if they had an unexpected expense of maybe $500, and most people couldn't do it in the ways that they did it. So it was like the other ways individuals would cover a $400 emergency expense. It was like 15 would put it on a credit card or and pay it off over time, some sort of like or 9% would borrow it from a friend or a family member. And I believe that this is a percentage. Yeah, it is a percent. 6% would sell something. 2% will use money from a bank loan or a line of credit, which is what Chris tried to do, and they slammed the door in his face. You know,
yeah,
1% will use a payday loan, which are horrible, people, absolutely horrible.
yeah. Don't
Stay
ever do that.
away from payday loans, right? That will sink your ship faster than anything else. And 12% will not be able to pay it. Will not be able to pay for the expense right now. So I mean, you look at that; it's like 27% would have either put it on a credit card or wouldn't be able to pay it. And I just thought that was crazy. And this is exactly what Chris is talking about. Um, we got Whiskey Earned here. What's good, brother? Good morning to you,
Hey,
brother. Hey, good
Aaron, what's
morning,
up,
DL
man?
Saint in the chat. Yeah, we up in here, man. We got Chris in here too, man. This is the family moment. When Fresh to Fit fam coming together to talk about stuff, man. And Candace is in the chat. What I mean, showing love, which we really appreciate. Um, so so I got here my bullet points because I wanted to talk about that. America's living paycheck to paycheck. I consider that the blue pill way of thinking when it comes to finance,
Yeah,
because you just cannot survive like that. It's not sustainable. So, what is the importance of budgets, brother? Because would you say that's probably the most important aspect, or what are your thoughts on that?
it's one thing, right? Because people are, what I've noticed, Don, is that when you talk to people about financial topics, they tend to clam up, right? They're not going to be open and like, yo, let's talk about it. They're just like, it's almost like they're ashamed of their own personal situation, because they're like, oh, well, I'm not balling. It's like, yo, okay, well, a lot of people aren't balling. That's fine. But budgets are important because then you find out what's coming in and what's going out, right? You need to know where your money's going and where you're assigning it to, bills, expenses, entertainment, that kind of thing, man. They call it you're like, it's like the four walls, something like that. So your housing, your transportation, your food, and your utilities, right? Those are the four most important things that you've got to manage, or that's your basic things that you have to manage, right? And a lot of people are struggling to do that because we're so ingrained that things are just normal. Oh, it's just normal to live paycheck to paycheck. It's just normal to struggle. Like,
Yeah,
no, it's
it's normal to not have a savings,
yeah,
right? It's normal to rent. It's normal not to own,
yeah.
right?
This is
So
normal stuff, man.
this is the
That's
blue pills. Oh, go ahead, brother.
I'll say that's part of the issue is like people think, oh, this is just normal. This is how it's supposed to be. It's like, well, no, man. Like you can be better, but you have to make the changes. And sometimes a lot of things that I've noticed is people will make sacrifices, right? They don't want to curtail their lifestyle, right? They don't want to do the tough things, right? Just maybe swallow their pride. I mean, damn, that was people were like looking at me, we're strange, man. When I went to that room, I was just like, yo, this is what I have to do. And that experience taught me a lot. I was like, yo, I'm kind of glad I did it. And out of curiosity, I was like, I'm gonna see what rents are going for now. I found this one place for like 450 a month, and I was like, it was a nice spot. I was like, damn, maybe we should sell everything again, do it all over just for the hell of it, right?
Say
But
do a reset, or maybe you should buy that entire building
yeah, who
and
knows,
get
right?
you some doors. But so when we're talking about budgets, we're talking about, okay, you've determined as an individual, like, all right, my situation is jacked up. I need to make a change,
Yeah,
right? And it's like, okay, so I need a budget. So when you're doing your budget, how much should you allocate for emergency funds versus your expenses? How does that work?
So here's the deal. Like when you're doing a budget, you have to figure out where the money's going. That was one thing that was an eye opener for me. When I actually sat down, I didn't make a budget, but I at the time my bank has like a tracker for your spending and the categories right. And I looked at it, I was like, God damn, like all this money was going towards like bullshit, man. Like food, drinks, partying, just nonsense, man. Like
And
I was
by
like,
food, you didn't mean like my regular food for a house. You're
no,
talking
no,
about going out, spending money in
yeah,
restaurants,
out to
blowing
eat.
money. Yeah, appetizers. I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe a gentleman club here and there. I don't know. I'm just saying, throwing that out there.
Luckily, no. Uh, because at that point, I was like, "Yo, man, strip clubs are out right now. Like, we don't have the money for that right now." 'Cause- and that's what got me in trouble before. We would go to the strip clubs, put it on the card and whatnot. I had the mentality like, "Yo, I'm gonna pay it off later. It's fine. I got it." Right. And then later came, and it was like, "Yo, where's my money?" Right.
Yeah,
That's what the bank
owie,
was
this
telling me.
hurts.
Yeah.
This hurts. For a dance with I don't know what's a good name in that. Like for a dance with Autumn or Amber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now I
Amber.
owe me $1,200 because Taylor was looking good with me and my boys. So
Right.
okay, so but how did you handle the emergency funds? I mean, because I don't know anybody who actually they don't put away for emergency. They put away for savings, and then they use that as an emergency fund.
What could be one of the same, right? Like your savings could be your emergency fund. And that's kind of like what I was looking at. I was like, my savings, yeah, Uber Eats. That's another thing too, man. Because it's so easy, right? You order from your phone, somebody brings it to you, you're good to go. It's too easy to spend money these days as well, right? And so, you just put away money. Just it's like a cushion, right? So your savings, and then you can allocate different buckets, right? So this could be your emergency fund. This could be like a sinking fund. So for example, like let's say you need to put tires on your car, right? Like, okay, that's probably gonna cost me anywhere from $800 to $1,200 if I want to get like the good tires, right? So you work towards saving that, right? Or maybe you want to go on a vacation, right? You work towards saving that, or maybe you got Christmas coming up, right? You want to put into your Christmas fund for your gifts for your family and friends, whatever the case may be, right? Or maybe you want to throw a party. You're like, yo, I need to supply the food and the alcohol, whatever. So you can do sinking funds that way, so they can allocate certain dollars for certain purchases, right?
So every dollar that was outgoing, you knew where it was going, and you made that decision prior to cutting the check or putting the dollar down. You knew where that money was going, and you
When I
stuck
got
to
to
it.
a point where I was like, yo, I need to tighten up my finances, and so then I started being now a little bit more loose because things are fine now, but you have to be more disciplined on where the money's going and also where it's coming in too, right? So you have to allocate the funds, right? You're like, okay, what is because once you identify where the money's going, you're like, okay, where can I make adjustments or cuts, right? Do I need
Okay, so
Netflix?
so
Do I
when
need
you got to
cable?
that right, so when you got to that point, did you have like a poster or a list somewhere or some or an app?
No,
How did how?
it was just an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, so you just use Excel spreadsheet and you
Mhm.
just kept it in your computer or
Yeah.
and you would check religiously every day. How did that go?
Usually, what I was doing every week, right? Because what I would do is I would take a hold of my transactions. So I would look at my accounts and my credit cards and be like, okay, where's this? What did I spend here? And so every month I would compare what I had coming in and what I had going out. And so I started seeing patterns, right? And I was like, okay, this is where I can cut, or this is where I can take my overages and put towards savings or investing, right? And so I was able to identify where the money was going and then reallocate to where it needed to go, right? And also cut back. So on stuff that I didn't need or didn't want, I was able to make adjustments. And so that's where people need to find. That's where they need to start, is identifying where the money's going and see where they can make adjustments, right? So if they can reduce their expenses, that's one thing. But you have to do it things in tandem. You have to reduce expenses and increase your income.
Okay. Okay. So and then let me ask you this. How important was goal setting during this whole process? Did you set goals or was everything just really short term? Like I just
Initially, it was
gotta
short term.
okay.
Initially, it was short term, and then once you start getting those wins, you start seeing the progress, start seeing your success. You're like, yo, man, I can do this. And then you start setting bigger goals. Okay, so then my next bigger goal was gonna be like, all right, I need a down payment for this house that I'm in now, right? Or I need to save for an expense that's coming up. For example, I tend to set aside like $1,000 for Christmas, right? And so I budget for that. So I make sure I do my shopping, who I'm gonna get, what, and how much I want to spend per person, more or less, right? And sometimes I get over it, sometimes I'm under it. Some years, right? It just kind of depends. At this point, it doesn't really affect me, but that's usually what my bar is like $1,000, right, for all the people that I shop for, right? And I'm usually pretty good about it. So it's just setting goal. It can be a small goal like Christmas shopping, or it can be a big goal like down payment for a car or down payment for a house or vacation, right? So you have to budget for all that stuff, man. Those
Oh,
are the goals that you set. Or you say, I want to have a certain amount of money in my bank account for my savings, or I want to be able to hit my max for the Roth IRA, which in most cases is 6 grand per year, right? To be able to do that. So you do it all at once, or you can do dollar cost averaging and do that $500 like per month to get there.
okay. And then you mentioned the discipline, and so I guess with that comes uh the pain of
Yeah.
actually doing this. Like, you know what, I'm gonna have to embrace what we used to say in the military. Like, it's gonna suck, and you just have to embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Yeah, I've heard that.
So and so you knew that going in, or was that something you learned as you got in there? Like, this is gonna hurt. I'm just gonna do it anyway.
I mean, both, all sides of it. Like I was getting all sides of it, man. I was like, this is not going to be fun because I was doing what was feeling good, right? I feel like, right, merch, right? This is going to be good, right? But again, it was going back to just being normal, like everybody else, right?
Right,
So
right. I feel that is yeah. I feel like merch, and I also I'm wearing merch today. As a matter of fact,
there you go.
for example, how would you handle, or how would you handle this? This is not us
So,
giving advice or anything. This is from AAA. This is the average price of gas, regular, mid grade, premium, and diesel. Right. So like you look at California, $5 and 76 cents for regular, and you like over $6 for premium. You're in Texas. Let's see, what you guys are probably the cheapest gas. Oh, look at that, man. $3.72. Is that what y'all paying right now in Texas?
for regular, but my car takes premium, so I'm over to the right side.
Yeah, I mean, you at okay, $4.37, bro. Like I'm in Florida. I was in California, and I remember paying those high gas prices. I'm in Florida, and we're at $4.73. Like, and it hovers close to $5 for premium. It got there once. So when you're dealing with, you got your budget set, and you're being disciplined, and then all of a sudden, war breaks out, gas goes through the roof,
Yeah.
right? So how do you handle that? I mean, how would you handle that? Like, okay, let's say that you were living in California, and all of a sudden gas just went up to over close or over $6 a gallon. That has to have a major impact on your budget.
Yeah, it hurts, man. It hurts because even the other day when I put gas when this first started, I was like, "Yo, that hurt," and I didn't even have to fill up, man. I had like a third of a tank left, and I put gas, and it still hurt. So I think, well, now it's kind of hard because now I can absorb the hit, right? So it's not a big deal. But let's say if I didn't, man, I'm like, "Oh, what am I gonna do?" So I would have to figure out what can I do differently, right? Maybe I take the bus, right? Maybe I ask to work from home, right? Or increase my income somehow, right? Take on another job to help fill that gap, or cut elsewhere, right? All right, so all right, next Netflix is gonna have to go, right? Uber Eats gonna have to go. Shout out to Whiskey Earn, right? No more Uber Eats. You know what you should do? You should be driving for Uber Eats, right? Make up the difference. You might lose it on the
Wow.
gas though.
So those are real tough decisions. Like you said, okay, the Netflix has to go. Maybe the cable has to go. It's like, okay, now you got to read more if you want to entertain yourself the old school way.
Yeah,
Um,
hell,
but
Go get Wi-Fi from the library, right?
right, and like Myron and Fresh are always saying, I mean, if you're a young man anyway, you should be working. I mean, it's just no, you should already have those two, maybe three hustles on the side, not counting the YouTube, not counting what I was doing, like comedy and stuff like that. Straight up, got my job, then I go to my other job, then I drive Uber, and then I go do my little other hustle. If you're a guy, yo, we got Hood Ninja Fresh in the house. What's good,
Hey,
brother?
what's up,
Good to
man?
see you. Happy Sunday. Whiskey, almost
Yeah,
$100 to fill up my mid-sized
I
truck.
believe
Yeah,
it, man.
bro. I drive an SUV. It's $120 to fill that up from empty, bro. Right
Mm,
now, you know what I mean? Because like again, like you, I have to use premium. Candace, it's a
yeah,
blessing to work from home as I've done for the past 7 years. Absolutely, absolutely. But there's some issues with that too. working from home, if your budget is messed up and you're the sole breadwinner, that could be a lot of stress. Not bringing in enough just from working from home, and now you got to go out and find maybe work for get another job and work from home, with your 2, maybe 3 jobs working from home to cover that. And the hood ninja's at the he's at the crib too. So did you find yourself in positions where you had to like really tighten down the belt and say, you know what, maybe I can't put away $1,000 for Christmas. Maybe I can only put away, $300, and I'm just gonna have to
Yeah.
say okay. And that's a tough one because people with big families, they hate to do that. So I guess the bottom line here is when it comes to getting out of debt, like you really have to put in the work and stay focused and committed to your budget, to your plan.
Yeah. There's things that you have to do. The first thing you have to do is stop accruing debt. That was the biggest thing. That's your starting point. Stop accruing debt, right? And then you have to make, again, going back to the sacrifice thing, like you're gonna have to tell people, no, man, I can't do that right now. I'm too busy, or I don't have it right now. It's like I can't go on that trip, or I can't go out to eat, or I can't go to happy hour, right? You have to say no. But another thing I want people to understand is that your situation might suck right now, but it's only temporary. It's not going to be like that forever, especially if you're making the necessary changes to improve your situation, right? If you just think about it's only temporary, and it was, man. Like I kept thinking, like this is gonna take forever, and it took a while, but I eventually got out of it because it was only temporary.
Yeah, but Chris, I want it now. I want it right now. This is not how blue pill people think. What do you mean I got it? It's gonna be temporary. I want it now.
I got you covered. You know why? Because the situation you put yourself in, that didn't happen overnight either.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point. So yeah, again, you just got to put the red pill lens on. Again, like for people out there, man, who look at me and be like, "Oh man, red pill isn't just about dating. It's not about womanizing."
That's another point I wanna make too, is that they only see the end product. They don't see the journey what it took to get there, right? So they're like, oh well, it's so easy for you to say like you're already there. I'm like, yeah, but did you see what it took to get there? Right? There was a stretch where I was working like 50, 60-hour weeks, man. It sucked. It sucked balls.
Yes, sir.
But I paid those dues and I was better for it, right?
Yes, sir. And I can tell you what, like for those people who want a visual of what you're talking about, right? And whether you're a Fresh and Fit fan or not, I know I use them a lot. A lot of my friends like, man, you always hollering at them. I'm like, dude, what they're doing is really good. And this is one reason why I think it is. Go back through their archive of their videos. Go back to the beginning, before the table, before the studio, when Myron and Fresh were doing this right here with the split screen. Pay attention to Fresh. Don't pay attention to Myron so much because he's still wearing the same clothes. He's still got the same watch on. He's a minimalist. Look at Fresh and look at his progression over that 18-month period. When you got to see him doing work towards the end, because that was the final stages of him making his transformation. You look at him now with the chains, with the watches, with the Lamborghinis, with the crib, right? He didn't have that 18 months ago. That was one of his goals. If you go through that, you'll see where he was talking about, I think it's on his vlog, where he had a fake watch. I think it was a fake AP or something. And he had it next to, no, it was, I don't know what kind of watch it was. It might have been a Rolex or AP. It was some fake watch. And then he had it next to the real one that he just bought.
Yeah.
Right. And it's one of those things. He's like, man, I bought this. Like, I knew it was fake, but I bought it to motivate me. And he details his journey. And you can see what Chris just said. People don't see the work being put in. He's doing the pranks. He's out there networking. He's working his 2 jobs, working Chick-fil-A, doing all this other kind of stuff. Right. And we didn't get to see all that, of course, but we got to see those final stages before he jumped into now I can get any kind of car I want. He's making money on every move he makes. Like I said, shout out to you, Fresh. You know what I'm saying? You know you my man, bro, because and he's still humble. I go down there, when I see him, he hits me up. You know what I mean? It's all love. But just to your point, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't get to see the work that goes into it.
Yeah.
They have no idea. Again, that flag behind me, I talk about being airborne. They have no idea what it means to go through airborne school. It's the stuff that you put yourself through just because you want them wings, right? And it's people that are purposely in the way to keep you from getting those wings. Every 15 minutes, they're asking, you want to quit? You want to quit? You ain't airborne. You want to quit? You want to go home on some Kool-Aid? They do it all the time, and you can't quit. And that you have to have that stick to itness, that drive in your budget if you want to get out of debt, which is what you did. And shout out to you, Crystal, because you did it, bro.
Yeah, and to your point, like I guess my version of that was people telling me like, "Yo, man, is it just happy hour? Yo, it's just a go out to eat. Yo, it's just a short weekend trip, right?" It's like, yo, like, no, man, I'm on this journey. Like, I have, like, it's gonna derail me, or it's gonna put me further behind, right? And so there was these pitfalls along the way, man. And I'll be honest, like, there was a couple of times where I did let myself derail. And what happened? I paid for it literally, right? Because it put me behind on my path, right? It took me a little bit longer to pay, or that money that I would allocate for the debt went to the going out and doing stupid shit, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you. I wrote a note because normally when I do these interviews, I keep a couple notes. So when you were doing this, did you keep your credit cards open, or did you do like most people say, cut your credit cards up, or I mean, how did that work?
No,
And Whiskey Earn Fresh's lifestyle changed
yeah,
drastically. Yes, it did,
I
sir.
sure did. No, I just took them out of my wallet and I put them away because I had a feeling. I was like, I probably should at least keep these open uh, for the time being, right? And then I guess we can get to the later part of the journey in a minute. But I was like, yo, because I think that might hurt me more if I need my credit for a house or a car, something like that, right? So
So
I
that
kept
would
them
be like
open.
a second tier emergency fallback. Like what in the military, what we call this is our fallback. So or rally point. Okay, I'm not going to use these credit cards, but I'm going to keep them just in case.
No, I
It,
didn't keep them just in case. I just kept them open because I didn't want to hurt the credit
you
of
went with your
closing them
credit.
out.
Okay. Okay.
So I,
Oh, you
I
know what?
literally just took them out of my wallet and put them away. I was like, if I don't have them, I can't use them. That was my thought process
That's an excellent point because had you closed those credit card accounts, that would have negatively impacted your credit score moving
at the time.
forward.
Yeah.
Excellent point. Keep that in mind, y'all out there, if you're watching this. Um, because you go to some credit repair places, the first thing they want to do
Yeah.
is
Don't do
have you
that.
cancel those cards, and that's gonna hurt you down the road. So, excellent point, bro. I would say, and I knew this, and for a second, I wasn't even thinking. Could have answered my own question with that, couldn't I?
And you made a good point about the credit repair places. Like nobody needs that. You can do it yourself, right?
What do you mean
It,
by that? Expand on that.
so you don't need help. Like your credit is your credit and it's your responsibility, right? And so you know where it's at. If you're not sure, there's a great website that you can use called annualcreditreport.com, right? And so you can get a free copy of your credit report from all the bureaus once a year, and you can take it won't give you your score, which at this point doesn't matter, but it'll show you all the stuff that's out there from all three bureaus. And you can see what's open, what's closed, what's been paid off, that kind of thing. And so that's what I did at one point. I was like, okay, this is all the stuff that I've got. And it showed me all of my history as far as like how long accounts had been open and active. And so I made the conscious decision like, okay, I'm not going to close these accounts. It's going to hurt me at this moment. I'm just going to just not use them. And that's going back to my first point of stop accruing debt, right? That's that first step, right? Stop digging yourself into that hole. You got to get out of the hole now, right?
Okay,
And
and I
so,
got a follow up for you in a second, but we're gonna catch up on the chats real quick.
yeah,
Look at
take a
us
look.
sounding like a broke fresh and fit. You have to invest in yourself. This is from Candace. You have to invest in yourself. Fresh has come a long way personally and professionally, and his life is blessed because of it. Absolutely, I agree with you 100, Candace. That's why you a goat. People be calling me a goat now, man. It's Candace.
Hey,
It's like it's a
Jose.
Jose. It's Whiskey. It's all those people that been grinding it with this platform longer than me. Let's go, DL saying shout out Chris on the live. Two ghosts. Thank you, brother. I do appreciate that. I don't take these words lightly, y'all, for real. I don't. I really appreciate it. Um, we this is how we're gonna better ourselves, man. Like what Fresh and Myron was like, yo, if we can do it, y'all can do it. And they serious, bro. And it doesn't
Right.
matter what age you are. I'm older and it's younger. It does not matter.
Yeah.
It's like what Chris is saying now. It's all about the focus, man. It's all about that. Hey, what's up? I mean, everybody's saying hi to each other, which I love seeing. I love seeing that in the chat.
Hey,
Chris Spitton, yes, he
hey,
is.
Jose, what's up, man?
Yes, he is. We got GD in here. Quick question for y'all. Should I be doing overtime in my job to be hitting at least 60 plus hours a week, or should I do my 40 and then find another job for the extra hours? I'll go first and then Chris, I'll let you go second.
Okay.
I would look at overtime and that extra those, because you're trading your time for money. So if you're gonna trade your time for money, it needs to be maximized, in my opinion. So if you have the type of job or career where your overtime is going to pay you time and a half, double time, or whatever, then absolutely you can do the overtime to reach your goals because it's less time overall. You can do 5 hours of OT, which would be equal to maybe 12 hours of some other job somewhere because you're not going to be tenured enough, to get that bigger chunk. So I would look at how much money it equals just dollar for dollar. Do I get more bang for my buck working overtime for my current job, or do I get more bang for my buck or some more flexibility doing overtime with outside company or source? So go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, I would recommend the overtime too, because essentially that's kind of what I did, man. Because at that time, my income was going up, so that means my overtime was also going up too. And I was getting these crazy checks, and then all of a sudden I was like, yo, all this money is going towards debt, right? And so I was able to get traction on paying stuff down. So that's what I would recommend, unless you can scale uh, the second job, which is possible. So one of the things that I've noticed, if you do some kind of service, for example, an easy one, like let's say you have a truck, right? Junk removal. People always got shit they gotta get rid of. You can charge whatever you want, right? You can go clean windows, right? Stuff that people don't want to do that they're gonna pay you for. That could be another option if the overtime doesn't make sense. But the overtime makes sense most of the time.
So look at that. And here's the thing: most, just for me to be political for a second, most companies, corporations do not want to pay you overtime because they have to adhere to federal overtime
Yeah.
regulations. So that's why they don't want to give you the overtime. They rather make you some sort of salary employee, where it's really just some Chinese arithmetic version of overtime. If you're getting real overtime, that's always going to be better than having a second job. You got real overtime. You come in there, you crank it, you get your time and a half or your double time or whatever it is. That's what you want to do because that's the most money. But if you're caught in one of those situations, and I was caught in that situation at one time in my life, where it's that Chinese arithmetic overtime, I went and worked another job.
Yeah.
So, and I would go and do that. So I would get another 20 to 30 hours a week guaranteed at my other job. And I was working basically 40 hours a week at my primary job. And then I was still in the streets doing legal stuff, doing legal stuff. I was still in the streets doing street promotion, hustling, trying to manage artists and stuff like that because I was young. So it always look at the bottom line. Always look at the money. Like they say, man, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Don't waste your time. You want to maximize the time that you're sacrificing for money because that's what you're doing. Jose, don't close your cards because it hurts because lowers your overall available balance and you can report it. Yes, absolutely, which is what we were kind of alluding to, but it does do that. Whiskey, I recommend overtime as well. GD, get the overtime. My dad will be 65 and he still works 6 days a week and he's killing it.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Facts, you know what I mean, from Jose, you know what I mean, Candace M. Everybody again showing love in the chat, you know what I mean, which I can't wait to see y'all for the 1 million party. Especially like Candace, I know you couldn't make it down to the 500K. When the 1 million rolls around, if you can't make it down, holla at me. We gotta have you there, no matter what. We gotta get you there. So if we got to, we'll flew you out and your family out or whatever we need to do to get you there, because you got to be at the 1 million party. And then GD, appreciate y'all. I'm trying to change my ways after all the info I've seen, because seeing I'm late where I should be. Nah, man, it ain't even about that being late or whatever, man. You gotta, it's red pill is red pill, bro. It's just like the movie The Matrix. You know what I mean? Neo wasn't some young chicken. They unplugged him and he saw it. And so you have to just be unplugged in all things related to life, man, because I'm telling you, it's like Andrew Tate says, man, it's all about the have-nots and the have-yachts. That's where we're going. The gap is extreme these days, right? And I mean, I'm doing well, but I ain't doing nothing. Like Andrew Tate was on Fresh and Fit with a bunch of girls. He's like, dude, I'm worth millions of dollars. I got casinos and I'm not in the 1%. Think about that for a moment. Think about that. That guy's probably worth double, maybe triple digit millions, and he's not in the 1%. That's crazy. So keep that in mind, y'all. So I did want to ask you something, bro. Oh, go ahead.
I was like, if you could bring up the comment again from GD. One point I want to make is that I think, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, man.
This one or the first one?
No, this one right here. Is doing that life comparison, right? because somebody who's maybe younger or your age is maybe further along, doesn't matter, man. It's your journey that you need to be worried about, right? Because somebody might be looking at you and be like, "Yo, GD's ahead of where I should be," right? Doesn't matter, right? I mean, there's people that are like, 10, 15, 20 years younger than me that are ahead of me. Who cares, man? That's their journey. This is my journey, right? So don't
And
get caught up on what other people are doing. You have to be able to control what you can control, right?
right, keeping up with the Joneses, man, that's blue pill thinking. 100%, that's blue pill thinking. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you were content in keeping up with the Joneses and doing what everybody else was doing, and it led you to failure.
And what I was doing is I noticed it. I was like, yo, man, because I was at certain points of my life, I was like, yeah, man, some people have it together and I don't. Thinking that I didn't. But people would tell me like, yo, Chris, you doing all right, man. Like it's fine. But I was like, yo, well, I'm not where so and so is, or I didn't think I was where I should have been by certain ages. Like I said, man, when I did uh, rent a room at 35, I was like, yo, I'm taking a step back. But really, it was pushing the reset button. And because I did that, I'm much further along. It doesn't matter, man. It's your journey, right? So don't let that what other people are doing impact what you're doing.
That's 100, man. So GD, man, I hope that was useful for you, brother. And make that happen. And whiskey, like, oh, for sure, I'll throw in for the Candace 1 milli party fund. Yo, hey, for real, when we start getting close to 1 million, I'm not gonna be super chatting as much. I'm putting that money away because I want to bring down some of our people who they ain't grinding every day in the trenches and maybe not necessarily be able to export what's the word I'm looking for? Pay for that extra expenditures. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna put that money away, and we're gonna find the people who really grind, and we'll talk some more people in the family because we gotta all be there for the 1 milli party, man. Because like I said, I'm all in on this, bro. I ain't playing. this is I want to see everybody get the yacht. Because, like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
it's the have yachts and have nots. I want all of us to get the yachts. That's what I'm trying to do.
Uh,
You know what I mean? And you have to fellowship with your people to get there. It's that focus. And I wanted to ask you a couple of things, Chris. Did you negotiate with any of your creditors through this process, or you just went ahead? You weren't really like behind or anything.
no, 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 no. I knew enough to make sure I paid everything on time. So through all that uh, journey, I only had one late payment ever, right? And it's because it was like I just missed a day, right? So I got hosed one time, so that was my own fault, right? Uh, and then yeah, it was all just paying on because I knew enough to like pay everything on time, even if it's just the minimum, which is what I was doing for a stretch, right? And so no, I didn't have to negotiate, man. They did hose me though when they lowered my credit limit because then it
Oh, they'll
shot
do
my
that
like it's
without even talking to you. They'll drop your credit limit in half if they want to.
yeah, and so it shot my utilization up to like 90%, right? So then my credit score took a hit because of that, and that was the banks and the credit cards, they basically hosed me at that point, right? And I was like, oh man, that was another motivating factor. But like, oh, all right, fine, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna pay this shit off.
Right. So remember that, y'all. If you run high balances, you can wake up one day and the banks just decide that you have too much credit out there, and they'll drop all your balances down. And sometimes it's like they work together, like they do it at the same time.
Yeah,
So your like you said, your utilization goes way up overnight, and it's like, oh man. And in some cases, you'll find yourself like in a pay hurt status where you actually got to pay late fees or the over balance fee. They'll drop your credit below it's so low that it's like, oh man, you over your balance, and you got to at least pay that down right away. So be careful. And I do know for a fact, just talking with people and from personal experience, if you are in a situation where you owe you owe creditors, you can call them up and negotiate, and you can kind of negotiate your terms with them. Say, hey, this is what's going on with me financially, and they'll set you up on certain plans or whatever. So again, you don't necessarily need the professionals to come in and do that for you.
yeah, you
Um,
make a good point. I kind of forgot about that. I didn't do that because I was doing okay, but most banks and most credit card companies, if you call them and explain your situation, they not always, but they will work with you to some extent. So, for example, merch, right? Uh, if you have a loan, like let's say a car loan, and like let's say you're struggling, a couple of months or whatever, you can call them up and be like, hey, can I get a loan payment deferment? And what they'll do is they'll just defer your payment for anywhere from 1 to 3 months, and they just tack it on to the end of the loan. So you won't have a car payment for that particular month or 2 months or 3 months, whatever the case may be. And so it gives you a little bit of a reprieve, right? You still got to pay that money, man, but they'll give you a break. And usually they'll do that a couple times during the life of the loan, right? Just to cut you a break, right? Because they know people will run into some hard times, or maybe they miss a check or something like that. Whatever the case is, they'll try to be understanding because they would rather not repo your car.
Right. They
Right.
don't want to go through that. They don't want. Yeah. They're definitely going to work with you. Good point. Candace, 1 million party will be lit. My hubby is in your old stomping grounds, DL Lakeland. So hopefully he'll be free to come to the party as well.
Yeah.
Listen,
Oh yeah.
you and your husband, whoever it takes, whoever's with you, doesn't matter. We gotta get y'all down there. So right now we just talking, but when we start to zero in on 1 million, this conversation is gonna get real. We already got Whiskey who's out here in the Clearwater area with me, like we're down in the Tampa area. So I mean, we gonna make that happen. We're gonna get y'all down there, get you on a flight, get you down there, get you set up nice. Cause Uncle Saint, when I travel, I'm sorry, I'm bougie when it comes to that. I gotta be in a nice place. So you'll be staying where I stay. It's gonna be nice. Trust me, take all your pictures, jump on the Instagram live or whatever, and be like, hey, we doing it big. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how I rock with it. So and that's another thing too. We'll do a travel show because
Yo.
a lot of people see where I stay and they're like, damn, you must be wealthy, brother. I'm like, yo, that you see a yacht in the back of this joint? I ain't got a yacht. I ain't there yet, but I know how to use the system a little bit. So what I pay to stay in the W, for instance, right? You will pay more staying at the Holiday Inn. Think about that for a second. What I pay at the W is less than what it would cost to stay at the Holiday Inn. I know you got like, how do you do that? Well, we'll have a show and we'll talk about it. You know what I mean? So, but we
might
got you,
join that
Candace. Oh yeah, we got. I'll let you know. You know what I mean, Jose? Like facts, Whiskey Iron. Yeah. I like to see that love in the chat, though. I really do. You know what I mean? Yeah, we are strong. I ain't gonna lie. Fresh and Fit gang and call it whatever, man. It's just we're coming together. You know what I mean? And one of the things I love about this community, race, gender, none of that matters. Age, none of that matters. When you look at our supporters, man, we run the gamut. We run the gamut, right? Because this red pill thing, I'm telling you, racism, sexism, colorism, put on a red pill lens, man, it don't matter. It's all about bread. And guess what? The 1% do not care about that. They don't care about your race, this, that, and the third. If you got a yacht, you on their team, period. And they gonna sit down and y'all gonna make even more money together. So we down here at the bottom fighting over whatever, my guy better than your guy, my race better than your race. Meanwhile, 1% is taking all that bread, sitting on their yacht, drinking on their little drinks with little umbrellas in it, enjoying life. So we got to get on that level, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm red pill for life, man. Unplugged forever. Yes, negotiating, having it in writing, absolutely, and they will do it. They'll write it up, send it to you, and then you solid, and then you can use that if something is wrong with your credit, you can use that, and they will fix your credit because the credit reporting systems, those things aren't working at all. You got to stay up on it. You got to always check your credit. Always check your credit. Minimum once a year. But I look at my credit every day almost. I pull up. I use apps. I use Experian apps. And that's Experian and TransUnion and Equifax. And then TransUnion has their own, but it's garbage. But I see it on my Experian, and I'm always checking. And if I see any discrepancies, I'm on the phone immediately. I'm emailing. I'm doing all that stuff because they will jack up your credit and not even care.
Yeah.
So it's all a game. GD, thank you both. And Fresh and Fit is sad that people only see the womanizing part of red pill, but actually be helping people for real. And it's up to us to change it. You notice it's a subtle shift. More and more women are coming over to Fresh and Fit. More and more people are starting to watch the early shows. Y'all should watch the early shows. Everybody here does, but we got to get more people to watch the early shows. Share those episodes because that stuff will never go viral because it's helping people, and people don't want that. They want the drama.
The drama, yeah.
Yeah, and thanks to the community, you're welcome. Hood Ninja, Fresh, I'm ready for that 1 million. Yeah, well, let's get more people. Where are we at? 650, I think. Maybe it's over a little over 650.
Like 670 or something like that.
Oh, is it 670? Ooh, getting close.
I don't know. Jose, you should know, man, what the count is. It should be in the mod chat.
Yeah, hopefully. And I don't have credit cards. I've always been in the mindset that if you don't have the cash, you can't afford it. And that's against Fresh and Fish teachers, but I've been considering getting that at least one card. Yo, Candace, real talk,
Let's talk
real
about
talk.
credit cards for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about credit cards for a minute. Credit cards are not a bad thing. It's just a tool like anything else. It's like y'all know Uncle Saints and the weapons, right? I'm always armed. Always, no matter where I'm at, within 2 feet of me. There's always a firearm because people like to run into people's houses these days, and I need to be ready. I can't go run into my safe if I'm in the loft right now. Somebody runs in here, I got to be able to deal with them. Credit cards are a tool like a weapon, like a firearm. It could be good or it could be bad. You have to be disciplined. So get the credit cards, use them so you can get the points. When we do the show about travel, points are a big thing about
Yeah.
that. It's huge. Buying a coach ticket on the airplane and getting bumped up to business for an international flight. You get that through your credit cards and your points. Candace, please get the best credit cards you can, like an Amex or something like that. The best points. American Airlines has one that's really good, and you use your credit card to whatever purchase, and you immediately pay for it with cash.
So what I would add to that is, Candace, if you're thinking about credit cards, think about what you're gonna use it for, right? If you're not into travel, don't get a travel credit card. Think about getting cash back, right? Or something that's gonna give you rewards for stuff that you already buy. So for example, right? Uh, like let's say you're big into cooking, right, and eating, right? So gas, groceries, and dining out are big are three big categories that you utilize for credit cards, right? So if you spend a lot in those three things, you can get money back. You can just pay for it, right, as statement credits, or you can just drop it into your account. Like this is what some of the things that I do on my cashback card. I'll take that money, either put it in my savings or drop it to my Roth and buy some more index funds. There you go. For stuff
That's
that
a
I'm already
gem right there.
buying. Stuff that I'm
That's
already
gold.
buying. I'm not buying shit just for the sake of buying shit. I do my normal grocery shopping, my normal gas fill ups, and my normal out to eats, right? And I'll take that money and utilize it somewhere else. Sometimes I'll just put it as a statement credit, right? If I feel that's what I'm thinking, or put it into my savings, or throw it to my Roth, right? If you're not traveling, there's other ways that you can utilize that money. If you are traveling, then you want to make sure you get a card that's going to be beneficial to your travels, right?
Or do both. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
or
Like
both.
you have, I got the travel card. Okay, now I got this card that's gonna give me the most cash back. You can do both, but yeah, and I know you watched their episodes on the best cards and credit and all that. But I would challenge you to watch them again, Candace, because I ain't gonna lie, I go back a lot of times and I watch a lot of the older episodes, especially the Andrew Tate ones. Like that dude. I mean, he blows my mind with some of the
Yeah,
stuff he
man.
says, and I'm an old head, and I'm listening to him like, yo, you know what I mean? Like when I met him, I shook his hand and I said, hey, brother, I study your words. And he was just like, "Whoa!" I was like, "I'm for real, man." And not just on Fresh and Fit, but like when he's on other people's platforms and he's saying these things. So Candace, just check that out. Check that out, girl, because you could be leaving money on the table,
Yeah,
and that's what it
exactly.
is. And it's all about leverage. You could be leaving money on the table. And then Whiskey jumped in too, like at Candace. Credit cards can be a blessing if you're careful. The bonus points really add up. Plus, having a good credit history can help you in other ways. Yeah, when it's time
Yeah,
to buy your first property, when it's time to buy some doors, your
yeah,
credit score is above eight. You got 820 or whatever. You ain't gonna have no problem getting into your first 4 units. That's 4 doors right there. And now you're looking at making, if like cash on cash return, like Myron says, if you're making $800 pure profit, you know what I mean, on those doors, that adds up fast. You're just that much closer to your yacht. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
658. There we go, man.
Six
And
fifty eight. Oh, we getting there. We getting
another
there.
another point I was gonna make. So Candace, I see you in the chat. Is only buy what you're supposed to buy, right? And only spend what you have in your account already, right? So what that means is, like, if you, let's say you didn't have the credit card, like you would have the cash in your account. Like if you were just physically gonna hand them the cash, same thing, same principle. Don't spend what you don't have, essentially. So that's how you stay out of trouble.
Yeah, that's how you say it's trouble. And then Candace has a comment here. I saw so many friends fall into the trap of payday loans, slant credit cards in college. So I've always stayed away from them, but I am wiser now and I will vet a good card. And here's the thing, credit cards are one thing, right? But the payday loan thing, now you're getting into predatory lending,
Yeah.
right? That is really, really bad. That is legal loan sharking.
Yeah.
You probably get better terms with the mob. You feel me? Like so those payday when people start considering payday loans, that's when you know all is lost. That's the quiet before the storm. That's when you know like it's they through. Like in the streets, you will see people who got their head right and they get bad. And the day they come up to somebody and they try to buy, you know what I mean, some drugs to alter their way of thinking, and you know it's over. When they start having those conversations like, well, I'm thinking about doing this, and you know it's over. So that payday loan thing, if anyone out here hears my voice, stay away from payday loans. Don't do it. Don't do it. So many people have been locked up over it. It's such a gray area in the law. They've locked up people who have, you know, ripped off folks. I mean, just look at American Greed. There's a story on American Greed about a guy who was payday loan king. It was just you can't get out of it. You just can't
Yeah.
get out of it, and they just suck you dry. So payday loans are a little bit different than credit. Like you know, if you use the credit companies to your advantage, they're gonna keep your business, but they're gonna hate you because they won't make a dime. They won't make a dime off of you. So it doesn't. It's like, well, the credit rate is 38%. So what? I pay it off all the time. I don't care, and they give me all this cash back. You know what I mean? And they will definitely hate you. So look into it, Candace. Girl, I'm telling you, you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
Whiskey just
There you
got the
go.
Amex Platinum this year, racked up over 100,000 points since January. And yo, Whiskey, what did they give you on the introductory thing? Did they give you points once you applied? Because a lot of these credit cards give you 200,000 points.
It's a sign up bonus, I think is
Yes.
what he's talking about. So they're doing a sign up bonus. You have to have a minimum spend within a short period of time. So essentially, for well, like the credit card that I just got, it's a $4,000 minimum spend to get a $60,000 or 60,000 point bonus within. I want to say it's 3 months or 4 months. I have to double check, but uh, so that's what I'm using to go to some trips in the short term to get those points up, and also just go out to eat a couple times, get some groceries, get some gas, and I'll make. I, I should have no problem making $4,000 spend over the next 3 months
Yeah,
to
like for
get the
me,
sixty thousand
you
dollars, sixty
you pay your
thousand
rent,
points.
your mortgage, that'll cover it. You know what I mean? You take your family out for dinner, or whatever, buy your groceries, that'll cover it. That's like you said, when you know what you spend already, you can just pull out your spreadsheet and be like, oh yeah, they'll take me, you know, X amount of time to spend that much, and that money is already allocated. So all you're doing is doing it through the card as opposed to going direct to the source. I think that's a good idea, but again, only do what you're comfortable doing, people.
Yeah,
And Candace, Rao, not to put no pressure on you, but only do what you're comfortable doing. You know who you are. But like you said, vet it out, look at it, discuss it with your husband, and if y'all decide it's the best route to go, do it. But remember, do not carry a balance. If you can't
yeah,
afford to pay it off every month, don't do it.
yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. Like me, I've got that trauma from being in debt. Every paycheck I get, I pay it off. I don't even wait for the statement. I was like, yo, I'm paying the sucker off every paycheck.
Yeah, I don't even wait for the statement to cycle. Soon as I see, I boom, like right now, I got $1,400 on the credit card. Like, what is that? Pay it off right away. So I never even get to the end of a billing cycle. I think they may have sent me a bill once with one of my credit cards, and again they hate me because like they don't make any money off me, and they're giving me points. Jose, yep, I've seen an old client of mine get a payday loan interest rate of 40%. I've seen higher than that, brother. It's the
That's
way that they
crazy, man.
calculate it. It's not the standard APR. It's the way that they calculate it. So if you stretch it out to the standard year thing, you're looking at hundreds of dollars. I mean, hundreds of points. You know what I mean? Like the percent is over 100%, and that's when they started locking people up. So that stuff is dangerous, yo.
Yeah, I think they compound the interest like daily or something like that
Yes, they
on those
do.
loans.
Yes, they do daily. So it's crazy. Loving the high Q conversation. I'm loving having y'all in here, man. Because I tell you what, when I go out into the world,
No, see,
people aren't having high Q conversations, man. I'm telling you, I'm sick and tired of hearing about Will smacking somebody and the Kardashians. Oh my goodness. So
yeah, see, that's what
Whiskey,
we're talking about. Yeah,
yeah, he had to spend 5K within the first 4 months. Cool, and they gave him some great points. So man, that's what's up, man. So I still did have a couple questions for you. You know, circling back to the budget,
okay.
like when you how did you plan for fun? Like, did you plan for fun, or did you like I'm just
That
not gonna
was
do anything?
that was the last line in the budget,
Was it
right?
really?
Everything else had to come first before the cool stuff and the fun stuff, right? That's why I was saying like I had to say no to a lot of things during that time period, right? No, I can't make it. I can't make it to happy hour, man. I can't make it to dinner this time. I can't. go to the birthday party. Just I can't do it.
But it's like, but
And
it's at the house. It's free liquor. Like, no, I'm not going.
okay, well, in those scenarios it was fine, right? But I'm
Okay.
talking about like going somewhere where I had to actively be spending money,
Okay.
right? And so I would even tell people like, yo, I can only spend so much for Christmas or whatever. So I would get more functional gifts, right? For especially with like the kids, of like books, a t-shirt, a jacket, something like that, something like very, very reasonable on cost. Even with the people that I would say maybe a little bit on the higher on the hierarchy, like that a little bit more clout, if you will, like my parents. I would I would spend a little bit more on them, but it still wasn't as much, right? But it was like something more thoughtful, stuff that I thought that they could use, as opposed to like a more expensive gift, right? Stuff that I know that they would appreciate and use. So that's what I was doing at that time.
So like, here's a can opener.
No, not so much that, but like I would get them. It was more like a gift card or something like that to places that I know they would go to and appreciate,
Okay.
right? Or something simple like a cell phone holder for the car that was a little bit more stable than what they had, right? Just little stuff like that was useful, that wasn't gonna break the bank. So now it's a little bit different. Right now it's like my dad's a whiskey drinker and bourbon. Like someone's like, yo, where's the glass case where you have to get the key? Let's look at that shit. So now I
Ooh.
could do those things, right?
At the,
And
the McAllen, like, oh, okay, we're going over. Okay, right
oh,
this way, sir.
I have a story about that. Speaking of McAllen, so my dad retired last year, and I told the guy, I was like, I want something special because it's retirement, and it happen one time a year. And he's like, yo, this right here, we barely get this stuff in. So if you want to get this is the shit right here. It's basically what it says, McAllen, whatever, or something, right? So he opens it up. He's like, oh wow, this is great. And then like a week later, he's like, yo, don't ever do that shit again. I was like, why, Dad? He's like, because I saw it at Costco, and I can't believe you spent that much. I was like, well, don't ever retire again because you're not gonna get that shit ever again.
Exactly. Or you can tell people what I tell people when they say stuff like that. I'm like, I stole it. And then they just look at me funny.
Yeah.
Just look at me funny. Boy, where'd you get this from? I stole it. Oh, okay. Can you give me a case? Like, no, man, I'm
No,
lying to you. I
man.
ain't steal that, bro. I had to pay that money. But so and I had a couple more questions here, but I think we covered them. I had a question here. How would you handle the current gas problem? We talked about that, and you told me it's just a matter of moving the money around and adjusting the budget
Yeah.
accordingly to whatever issue might come up. And that goes to energy costs, that goes to food costs, everything. You just got to figure it out, which means you're gonna have to go to work. And
Hmm.
how much credit should you use while you're going through this process? Should it be zero credit or some? I mean, what's your take on that?
If you're talking about utilization, you want to stay under 30%.
Okay, well, definitely let's put that out there. We understand utilization, but when you went through this process, you said you put your credit cards away. Did you touch them at all during
Oh
that year or
no.
so process?
Remember that the first thing that I was saying, like that first step, you have to stop accruing debt, right? So you,
And that
you
includes credit cards.
yeah. So you got to put them away. Like a lot of people will cut them up, which is also a good thing too. Like, because if you can't physically have them together, cut them up, but leave the
Can
account open, right? So you can still manage your credit. Because if I would have closed them at that point in time, my credit would have taken a huge hit at that point in time, and I didn't realize how much I was going to need my credit later down the line. So I'm glad I didn't do that, but I'm glad I put them away so that I couldn't use them, so I couldn't accrue any more debt.
That makes sense. I mean, and here's the thing: the only reason I wanted to reinforce that is because so many Americans use credit cards and credit as if it's earned income.
Yeah, man. They have that mindset that I was telling you earlier, like, oh, I'll just pay it later.
Right, and that's the again blue pill thinking when it comes to finance is like you just said, I'll pay it later. Everyone's doing it, it's fine, and you see people like you'll see Myron drop his credit card down at the 500K party. Myron and Fresh were dropping their credit cards down, right? And just so y'all know, they paid for all that alcohol when they got there and started buying bottles, and all those bottles you saw come, that was Myron and Fresh, and they don't drink and they spent a lot of money. I don't be counting people pockets, but I know Vendome and I know what the because Fresh had me order the bottles because he don't drink like that. He was like, "What do you think people want?" And I'm trying to be. I'm like, get this. I'm looking at the cheap. I'm looking at prices. Fresh was like, "Man, what do you think people are gonna drink?" And we just getting that. I'm like, "All right, bro. This, and this." And then Myron came and did it, and they put it on their credit card. People like, "Oh, they're using their credit card." They paid for that cash, but they did it through the credit card. So they put it on a credit card and they paid that off. So that whatever they spent, that 10, 15, 20,000 that they spent that night. And yes, it was about that. They paid
believe it.
cash for that. That didn't roll over 2 or 3 months. Right. So the average person, like, well, I'm gonna be like Fresh and Mine when they throw their credit card down and they're gonna take 6 months to pay off whatever it is that time, that dinner they had at Mr. Child's. You losing because you paying all that interest. And it's hurting you because your utilization is going up. So I just wanted to get that out there because a lot of Americans like, well, it's cool, it's all right, everybody's putting their credit card down. But like, we don't know everyone's individual journey. You don't know what they're doing. You know, you see a credit card, it might be someone's debit card. Or it might be not their debit card, but their card linked to their yes, their IRA account or their stock portfolio. You never know. So get that out your mind. Always think about yourself. And yeah, like Whiskey was saying, you got excellent taste. I'm not even a whiskey guy, but I keep McAllen. I keep it here in case I have someone over who wants to.
Yeah, I made sure he's poured me a glass, and I was like, "Yo, this is good stuff." I'm glad I bought it.
I'm a cognac guy, but you know, that's smooth, bro. That's one I can sip on. And they do have those, I forget what the ones are, but they have some really high end ones that are they're really good. So Insane's in the house. What's up? Shout out to you, brother. Thanks for popping in. I think they use that to boost their credit scores. Well, they do. They use it for the points. And we just, go back and rewatch this later. We talk about the benefits to using your credit, and it not only does it help your credit score, but it also secures you points for travel or cash back and stuff like that. And that's what they're using it for. Because they pay it off. Yes, because they pay it off immediately. And that's how everyone should do. If you're trying to get that yacht, you're trying to be one of the have yachts. And what I don't expect everybody to go out and buy a boat, but I want everybody to have the money to buy a boat. That's what, like, I could go buy that yacht right now if I want to. I was in the aviation world, and I'm around men and women who were buying like jets, and people talk about private jets and this and that. I was in the field for over 25 years. There are people out there like John Travolta has a 707, a 727. You guys are like, what is that? There are men out there who have the Boeing 757. So Southwest Airlines, they fly 737s. I know at least 4 people that have their own 737. It's called a Boeing business jet, a BBJ. Look it up, Boeing business jet. They own it. It's custom built. I've been on board. Like the shit that they put on them planes, y'all. You think they're Fresh riding around this Lambo or Andrew Tate riding around his Bugatti. This is why they're telling you they mess with billionaires, because billionaires own jets like that. So, and I've seen them, they just fly into the airport, get off the plane by themselves and they dog. Mm-hmm. They'll have that airplane fly across the world just to bring them a shirt. One shirt. Yeah, I'm not even exaggerating, y'all. They will have their airplane pick up a shirt and fly it from LA to London because it's their lucky shirt. Have yachts, have nots. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just happy to take it over to the airport.
And then we got Whiskey. Myron and Fresh spent $20K that night easy. Yes, they did. Again, not to be counting their pockets, but you know what? They lead by example. I always say keep leading from the front. When y'all see me, I send in those super chats, and I always put that on there. Keep leading from the front. That's what I mean. They're out there. They're showing us that it could be done, and they're showing us it could be done legally. Like where I came from, the only people making moves like that were drug dealers, man, keeping it 100. 100 stick-up kids was getting cash like that, and all of them locked up or dead. Like all of my dudes that came up in that business, locked up, dead, or destitute. Some of them using the products they used to sell. And it's sad when you see it, they're broken, right? Broken men, broken warriors by age 35, by age 42, just broken, full of regret. Not because they lost the money, but the things that they did to get that money, and it's gone, right? So these brothers are out here doing it legally. Right. And they're showing us it could be done, and they're showing us the way. So, and a lot of people have shown me this way, and like, I'm hard headed. It took me a while to understand it. So long before Fresh and Fit, just being 100 with it. So that's why we have Chris on here, a man who's actually walked the walk. You know what I mean? He's on that path, and it's like, he can show you like, yeah, I did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's possible, man. And I'm not anybody special, man. Like if I, it's a little cliche to say it, but like, if I can do it, anybody can do it, man. But you have to be willing to put in the time, the effort, and the sacrifices to do so. And remember, whatever your situation, it's only temporary. It's not going to be like that forever.
Yeah. Insane. I only drink tequila. Well, when you come down to the Millie Point, I got a bottle of Casa Azul for you, brother. because you was one of the first 10 on to ever get on my page. So for everybody that's on here rocking with me now, when I see you, I'm gonna have a little something for you. I know I like to give out little gifts. You know what I'm saying? Like Fresh said, DL Saint gave me a Lamborghini. I gave him a Lamborghini keychain. But yeah, and when I see him again, I got something else for him too. But I'll be trying to hook up Mo. I'll be trying to hook up Chris. You know what I mean? Myron, and those guys are so appreciative. They are. You know what I mean? Because I appreciate them, and I like to show it. And people are like, oh, that's your love language. I'm like, get the hell out of here with that, man. Ain't nobody on that love language stuff, man. It's just I treat people the way I want to be treated. My dad taught me that. I treat people the way I want to be treated. So I treat people that I appreciate with appreciation. And that's why I do it. It's nothing to do with a love language. I be over in the blue pill world and I just be sitting there like the RCA dog looking into a speaker when they talk to me like, man, hey, for real? You know what I mean? So insane. DL, I got plans to go learn how to fly after medical school. Will height be an issue? I'm about 6'7"? Absolutely. It will be an issue because don't let it stop you though. It's just you're just gonna be uncomfortable. But most people learn how to fly in Cessnas or Cirrus, SR-22s or Cessna 172s. You'll get used to these terms. Stay in touch with me, brother, when you're ready to do this. And let me know what part of the world you're in when it's time for your flight training so I can kind of guide you to the right flight schools. You don't want to go to just any old instructor. They can actually get you killed. I've seen it happen. You don't want bad instructors. Flying is amazing. You're 6'7", it's going to be tough. You're going to be uncomfortable. But once you get your private, right, and then you go buy your plane, you can have modifications made to your aircraft that can accommodate your legs. Because that's all it is, really, just your legs. So just to accommodate that, because you need the rudder. It's stick and rudder, bro. Now it's like yoke and rudder. But the Cirrus actually has a joystick. You're actually flying the joystick like a video game. But the Cessnas have a yoke. But it's those inputs you got to have. And it's hard flying in a small airplane across the country, or even doing a cross country, which is just a long flight. It's really tough. It's like getting in what's a small car these days? Like getting in a Mini that you can't move the seat back. It's like getting in a Mini and driving from LA to Detroit, right? That's what it's gonna be like for you flying, bro. But stay in touch with me, man, because I can definitely help you out on that travel. And you should be a pilot. It is amazing to be up flying on a beautiful day in a nice airplane and by yourself. It's the ultimate freedom, because you can't do that anywhere in the world, but you can do it in America. And they're trying to take that freedom away from us. So that's for another episode. I don't want to get too political. So Chris, all right. So while you're going through this process, bro, getting out of debt, and I already know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna ask it because I wrote it down. Should you invest in stocks, bond, gold, et cetera, like precious metals, while you're getting yourself out of debt? I know the answer, but what say you?
I would say hold off on investing, right? If you're getting out of debt, right? Because you're essentially gonna get a raise, if you will, because all that money is going to somewhere else instead of your pocket, right? So you have to get that out of the way, right? And so when I was getting through my debt journey, going through my debt journey, like I really wasn't focused on investing and saving, right? All I had was my small little emergency fund, which was my cushion to handle anything that came up, so I wouldn't have to go back into debt. And yeah, I didn't even pay any mind, man. The only thing that I was doing at that time was my 401k, and all I was doing was up to the match at that point, right? Because I was like, that's free money, man. Like I can't let that go. And so that was all the investing that I was doing was 401k versus, because I was getting the match. I wasn't doing any Roth IRAs. I wasn't doing any brokerage accounts. I wasn't doing any crypto, right? Wasn't into any of that. So pay off the debt first and then invest, because that money that you will free up can then turn in, because then you can get it to grow at that point. So that was my approach. And that's what I would recommend most people doing, because you want to get out of that debt first, because that interest is going to eat you up.
Eat
right?
you alive. Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And so and stay away from the get rich quick scheme. So like when you were going through your process, I'm pretty sure you heard of Bitcoin and all that, right? Crypto, when you were going through your process. You didn't?
No.
Okay.
No.
So let's say that someone is going through this process and then their buddy says, hey man, you could take $2,000 and invest it in crypto and then you can make $20,000 in 6 months. I would say avoid that and stick to your plan. But what would you say? Would you say take some sort of risk like that?
It's hard, right? It's hard because you see guys taking those risks and succeeding, right? And so I would be like, yo, you can't right now because you don't have the disposable income to do so, right? Because if you lose the money, now you're screwed.
Okay, so it's you gotta stay on mission. That's another thing in military. In military, anybody who's been in the military, especially in the army, is mission first, right? Mission always comes first, even before the people. Although your people are just as important, but we're there to accomplish the mission. So it's mission first. So I would say use that mindset when you stick to your budget. You want to get out. If the mission is to get out of debt, then you have to get out of debt, and there are no shortcuts. Like, well, I'm gonna take $2,000 and put it in crypto, and then you lose that money. And it's like Chris just said, you just set yourself back. You might have broke the bank. You might be like you taking 3 giant steps back. So keep that in mind. There's no get rich quick schemes out there that's gonna get you there. And all right, thanks, man. I'm gonna hit you up for all that advice I can handle when the time comes. Because I heard you saying you were in the airplane business, jumped out of planes too. Yeah. Well, yeah, in my early life, I was a paratrooper. That was a different airplane business. That was really the war business. So I did that. You know what I mean? Definitely proud of my service. Definitely proud that I'm a paratrooper, that I'm airborne, and everything that I learned. But the one last thing for you in saying is if you ever get a free weekend, right? You got nothing going on. Go online and type in intro flights near me, and they'll probably point you to the closest general aviation airport, where like the smaller airports where people are flying these small little airplanes and all that. A lot of airports, they have these businesses on the airport, these flight schools that will give you a free intro, and then they'll like taxi you around the airport. Taxi means drive the airplane around the airport, and then they'll actually take off and just kind of fly around the area real quick, like maybe an hour. It might not even be that long, and it's free. They normally do not charge you for intro flights, and at least you'll be able to get into a Cessna 172 or 182, a Cirrus SR20, yeah, SR22s. I think they got like a 23. I think anyway, it's been a while, but they'll get you into some of these airplanes, and you can sit there and you have the yoke in front of you, and you can see what it's gonna feel like to be in that aircraft. And then you got to make friends. Like anything else, you got to network. So yeah, hit me up when you're ready, and you'll tell me where you are on in the world here in America, and then I can help you get going. Because believe it or not, Uncle Saint got friends in that business. My only film credit is an independent film. It's called 16 Right, 16 R is about the Van Nuys Airport where I worked, and I'm in that film. And there are pilots all over the world who know me from that film. It blows my mind to this day. I could never be famous because I mean I just can't handle it. It's just a weird feeling. But they got love for you. Like, oh my God, it's Don Lewis, and pilots come running out and ask me all kind of questions, which is cool. That's part of it. But boy, oh boy, it's something. I gotta tell you what, it's something. In 6 months, don't do it, but in 5 years, make sure that means you got money to spare. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, once you and Chris said that. Like once you have disposable income, that's when you do it. Thank you for your service. You're welcome, Candace. Absolutely, and thank your husband for his service for me, and let him know I got a drink for him. We can sit around and share stories as some old war dogs that we are.
Right.
So okay, I think we did a pretty good job of beating that up. There's one last thing we need to talk about, which is a little bit off topic, and that is buying cars. Right?
Oh,
I wanted
man.
to circle back to that.
Okay.
My philosophy: you should buy one new car in your life. One. You should buy one new car, drive it off the lot, and get your heart broken when you realize half the value was gone as soon as you sign the papers. You lost. You lost. Right? And then if it's a lease or whatever, however you do it, you can see how ridiculous it is. Right? Do it one time. And then from that point on, I never buy new. Never, ever buy new. For that reason right there. Because what I do is I take how much money I have to spend. If I have $30,000 I want to spend on the vehicle, I get as much vehicle as I can get for that $30,000. Like, what's your take on that, Chris?
Well, okay, so it's a little difficult to have this conversation because the car market is stupid right now, right? So in a normal setting, I would agree. Like, try not to buy a new car, right? And you and I've already made that mistake, so we speak from experience, right? And like I was saying, like the funny part was like the better decision was gonna be to buy the 911 and not the Subaru, right? Go figure. But you're right, it lost the value, right? And so uh do it for selfish reasons, but don't do it for financial reasons, right? You could look at it that way, right? But do it when you're in a position where it doesn't matter to you, and you're going to keep that car for an extended period, right?
Every
It's just,
car I buy, I run it way over 100. I had a BMW 740i. This
oh,
was
it's
back
a nice ride.
in.
It's a nice
Oh
ride.
yeah, it's a great car. I love BMWs. Right now, I'm on a Mercedes. I'm not gonna lie to you. Uh, the Mercedes inches out the BMW, and I hate saying it because I've been a BMW guy for so long. But the Mercedes, the engineering in that Mercedes is amazing compared to the BMW. And I don't know what BMW is doing right now. I'm not even happy with the way the cars look. But that's another topic. But anyway, had a 740, bought it used. I bought that car from a doctor in LA.
Okay.
He and his wife are having a kid, and he sold it to me for what he owed on it. And I want to say I spent 35,000 on that car.
Okay.
This was in 2000, 1999 or 2000,
Okay.
and it was only a few years old. And I personally put over 100,000 miles on that vehicle. So when I got rid of that car, I almost had 200,000 miles, and it was worth like $5,000, which was
Yeah,
was
I
just
believe it.
stupid. And I got rid of that car in 2009. So my daughter was born, and I was in the market for an Audi A5. That's when they first came out,
Oh man,
and I
those are
was
nice
sitting in
cars.
one. Right. And when I say I never buy new, that doesn't mean you got to go buy a junker. You can buy a car that's a year old that's never been purchased before,
Yeah.
and the new cars are out. They can't sell it to you at a new car price.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So that's what I was doing. It was the one they couldn't. It was the one car they couldn't get rid of, and it was a manual, and that's why they couldn't get rid of it. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
in it, and I was getting the best deal. I'm like, and it was that A5 was amazing. I was like, oh, this is it, 2 doors. This was perfect. I'm moving to Miami. I just got transferred to Miami, and then bam, the day I was gonna buy that car, I had the loan secured and everything. I was gonna buy that car. I was notified that I have a little girl, so I got an SUV instead. So 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 yeah, I would say get as much car as you can uh, for the money you want to spend, and don't buy new. Now there are people out there who like, no, I keep my cars forever. I buy them new. Okay, that's fine because you're not really worried about resale value and stuff like that. So so yeah, I would, new cars. I don't do new cars. And right now the market is so messed up that keep your eye on the car market, new and used. It's starting to go down. People want to get rid of their trucks and their big SUVs because gas is so expensive.
Yeah. They're having a knee-jerk reaction to it, man. And I was kind of curious.
Yes.
I was like, okay, because if you remember back in that 2007, 2008 time frame, one of the triggers was the gas prices were starting to increase all of a sudden. And so people were like trading in their trucks, SUVs and whatnot, trying to go get a Prius. Fuck out of here with that. It's a personal opinion, by the way. But like it was a knee-jerk reaction. I was like, yo, man, that's what's happening now. But the market's much different because the supply is all out of whack, right? And so it's a really unique scenario that we're in because it's not normal, man. So when we're talking about car values and depreciation, it's like even cars that you wouldn't think would appreciate are appreciating. It's the craziest thing, man. People are overpaying. Dealers are charging markups on both new and used, right? And it's crazy, man. Like it's hard to apply your normal thinking in this current car market.
Yeah,
It really
during
is.
the sickness, they couldn't get the chips on the new cars. They were backed up on the orders. So supply and demand, the
Yeah.
dealers were marking up like crazy. And used cars then became huge because people couldn't get the new car. They needed a vehicle. So that was the market who did that. And saying one new car, yeah, brother, get one new car, run the numbers, and you'll see what I'm talking about. When you can turn around, like the 911, for instance. You want to run out there and buy a brand new 911, you're going to spend $150,000 to get it, right? Drive the car off the lot, bring it back because you want to get a Panamera now, right? And rich people do this all the time. They'll buy the car, bring it back in a week, and I can come buy that same 911 for $80,000. So who's the Mac? I'm driving your new car for a used car price, right? Rich people don't care, But someone like me, I want to save those dollars. That difference, I can invest in the building, or I can invest in something. I can invest in YouTube. I can invest in whatever I'm invested in.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I mean by that. When you actually run the numbers, it doesn't make sense. Now, if you're leasing, that's something different, but you're still wasting money. Like Fresh is probably, I would guess, I'm gonna ask Fresh. I don't know if he's leasing or if he bought them outright, but he's making money off of those cars. He's making a lot of money off those cars. I doubt if he's paying out of his own pocket for those vehicles. He's earning the money off the vehicles with photo shoots and leasing out to well qualified people. So I'm gonna ask him about that. See what he says.
He got the right finesse going on. He got the right finesse going on, which is good, man. Props to him. What I was gonna say something else about the market too. Is like you have to do your research and buy well, right? You want to buy vehicles that are reliable, man, and that's sometimes they're boring, right? But they can be fun cars too. So you stick to Toyotas, Hondas. So that's Acura, Lexus too, right? If you want to maybe up your game a little bit, right? Because you used to be able to buy a nice used Lexus, man, for a reasonable price, and it's like balling on a budget, right? But being responsible, because that car is probably going to run forever, and you're not going to spend as much money on maintenance. I'm not saying it's not possible, but you probably won't be in the shop as if you got a Range Rover.
Right. I mean, your Range Rovers, their history has gotten better, but yet it's a lot of moving parts on a Range Rover. There's a lot of moving parts, and those parts break all the time. So, and then when you do buy a used car, you're getting a certified used car. It's just like having a new car. You're still gonna get the remainder of the factory warranty, and they will allow you at the end of that factory warranty period to purchase extended warranty and a service agreement. So you take the car in, it doesn't matter. Anything breaks, they fix it. So I mean, and again, you just have to be savvy with it. But like you said, when the sickness hit, it kind of jacked up the market, and things started to stabilize. And now we got this war in the gas prices. So Whiskey Aaron, yeah, the market is weird right now. I just bought my truck new, and the value is pretty stable. In some cases, trucks are gaining value. Yeah. I plan on driving it for the next 15 years, though. So, because in Whiskey's case, it doesn't matter because he's going to have the car for so long. But there was that little thing to where I bought I have a Mercedes GLE 350. I bought it when I got here to Tampa. I bought that in the end of 2019, early part of 2020. I bought the car a year later. The car is worth more than I paid for it. So right now, my Mercedes, prior to the gas thing, my car was still worth more than I paid for it. Now, I'm expecting it to dip. And it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to keep the car till the wheels fall off. I mean, again, I'll put 100,000 miles on anything that I buy. But when I'm driving that car, when I pull up in that vehicle, no one asked me what year that is. No one asked me if I bought it new, right? So it's just a pull up.
Another thing too is like if you maintain your vehicle properly, like it can look a lot better than what it really is. Like I have a story. I used to drive a real basic looking 2003 Mazda 6, right? I love that car, right? It was a good one, but I just kept it up, right? I would wash it regularly, detail all that stuff. People would get in, and mind you, this is like, it was an 03, and so I had that car for 10 years because I bought it in 2005, and people would regularly get in my car, and they'd be like, yo, what year is this, man? I'm like, it's an 03, bro. And they're like, yo, I thought this was new. I was like, yo, this is not a new car whatsoever. And it really just goes to your maintenance, right? And maintaining your vehicles. You can make just a regular looking car look much better if you just maintain it, man. Same thing on the mechanical side and also the cosmetic side.
Yeah, and I mean, I have kids. Like I raised my daughter. I had a BMW X5. When I moved to Miami for a few years, and I moved back to LA. When I got to LA, I bought a BMW X5, and my daughter was she was a toddler by this point.
Okay.
So yeah, I was cleaning the car as much as I was cleaning her because babies explode all the time, man. He's doing something, everything's cool. Next thing you know, bah! It's like, oh man, you're back there cleaning the car, you're taking care of it. But when I got rid of that car, I got a ton of money for it. I take that back. That car actually got totaled. People in California drive almost as poorly as people in Florida. But I made a lot of money in that. When my car got totaled and they cut me. Another thing with used cars and the insurance thing, they have to give you replacement value. So they had to buy me another X5. And they had to they try to get as close to the year as they can, and they'll just cut you a check. So when my car got totaled, and I'm sitting there thinking like, oh man, I'm about to take it in the shorts because back in the day, it didn't used to be that way. They would simply give you the value of the car at the time. So if you're driving an 8-year-old car, this is how much you get for 8-year-old. Here you go. Now is like they got to replace that car. And at the time, the X5s were doing really well, so they cut me a check for like $12,000 for this older, BMW X5. And I'm like, cool. I went out and I bought myself a Volkswagen because at the time I was Ubering. That's another story. One day I'm gonna talk about the family court system from my point of view because it really doesn't work. It really doesn't.
It's tough.
Yeah. So, but the things I was doing, the hustling and things that I had to do. So anyway, long story short, I just don't see the value in buying a brand new car unless you're Candace. Candace Zim bought my car in 2017, and it's only got 24,000 miles. You had another benefit of working from home. Like, yeah, you can drive that car forever. You ain't never your grandkids can drive that car. And Whiskey for sure. Candace, I work from home too. Put about 6K. Yep. And me, you got like Uncle saying, I don't work. This is work for me. So I do put miles on the car because I'm going down to, I like driving down to Miami all the time. I could fly, but I like having a vehicle, even though I don't drive that much while I'm there. I'm normally in the car refreshed. But anyway,
I know it makes sense, man. Like, because now ever since they sent us home, a couple years ago, I'm right around 5,000 miles a year. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's crazy. And then Insane is like, oh, I see what you mean. Like, yeah, we should do what you want to do, but it's just you just lose that money buying new. Go buy the car that they can't get off the lot. Every dealership will find that car. Like, oh, we have this car that it has 2 miles on it, 5 miles on it, whatever, and we can't sell it. The new ones are here. We can't sell it. It's technically used. Get that deal. You're gonna save yourself a ton of money.
Yeah. Do your research. Do your due diligence. Right. Whether it's new or used, there's deals to be. Well, there's not as many deals now. It's a lot harder to find them in this current market. But in a normal setting, do your due diligence. If you can find a used car that's only got one owner, so look for those. Right. Especially if they got service records. Don't forget to ask for a PPI, which is a pre-purchase inspection.
Man, and get a Carfax too. Carfax is really good. Pre-purchase inspection. If you're buying a high-end vehicle, like Chris was talking about buying a 911. If you're gonna buy like a Mercedes, like Maybach or anything, or definitely if you're gonna buy an exotic, you have to have that pre-purchase inspection. Pay that money. It might cost you $400. Pay it. Don't use their people. Use your people. And they'll run through everything and tell you everything is about that car and what service is gonna be coming up. And like a lot of people get rid of those high-end cars when they know they got a huge service coming up, or they got a problem with the transmission, or they got a problem with the catalytics, or whatever. That BMW I told you I had, right? That's the first real high-end car I ever had.
Yeah.
The year that I bought, they had an issue with the catalytics. I had to get mine replaced, and that was like $8,000, right? And yeah, man, that one hurt. And I had a really good mechanic at the time, and we was able to work that out. But it still was like eight. It was really 12, but he got it down to 8, and I was like,
it still hurt.
Yeah, it did. And then Whiskey was like, fresh finesse, and Insane facts. They explode unexpectedly all the time. Talking about kids, you ask them bathroom, and they say no. 5 minutes later, boom, you ain't never lied about that, bro. Boom is right. You don't even hear it, you just smell it. Like, did you just? Oh my God! And then it seeps out the corners, and it's just everywhere. Yeah, I love being a parent, but boy, oh boy, I like to leave that. The women love the babies when they're all cute and little. I like them when they get older and you can kind of rough them up a little bit. That's when I like them. Candace M is amazing too. How many cars people blow through in my 30s, and this is my third car, second new vehicle. Yeah, I mean people go through vehicle. I mean, because it depends on how you live. If you got to commute. In LA, it was not unusual for somebody to have an hour and a half commute one way.
That's crazy, man.
One way. Hey, you're going to see it. You're going to see it in Texas, brother. You're going to see it everywhere now because people can't afford to live close to work because of the explosion in rent.
Yeah.
So people are moving further and further away to get these deals. That means they got to commute. So if you're driving 45 minutes to an hour one way, you're going to burn through that car. Right. And especially if it's a lease, you're going to have to get rid of it because you don't want to have to pay the extra money, pay for all the extra miles. If you if you own a car, your maintenance is going to increase dramatically, probably triple because those miles hit, you got to bring it in for service. That light comes on, you got to take it in for service. They're calling you. So, it is what it is. And people burn through cars. They really do. And what the average used car today, someone could check my math on this, but I want to say the average used car is $46,000 in America. That's a lot of money, bro.
So it is, man. It's crazy money. Like, and that's another thing. The market's pricing out, your entry level buyers as well, man. So it's tough out there for everybody.
It's tough out there. And when I was a youngin, like I'm 51 years old, but when I was young, you can go to an auction in Ohio and get a decent car that ran good, and you can go back and forth to work in for $1,500.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For $3,500, you could buy yourself a nice truck. This was in the Midwest. Forget about that. Now you go to an auction. I mean, you're paying, 15, 10, 12, $15,000 for a car that you got to put a transmission in.
Potentially, yeah.
So yo, times are changing, and you have to keep that red pill lens on and look at the situation on the ground. Like, oh man, this thing, people are always like, well, when I was your age, it was like this. Well, it ain't like that no more.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So let's adjust. You know what I mean? And let's move forward, because we got to push through here, or we're gonna get burned. I'm trying to get that yacht. I want to be a half yacht. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be a half not. I want to be a half yacht. So shout out to Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate.
And one thing I wanted to chime into on the car thing is that as you're doing your research, like any informed buyer should be doing, look for the common issues and also budget for that too, right? So if you've got a car that that there's an issue with the timing belt, something like that, or they've got a transmission issue, but it's relatively common and easy to fix, budget for that, right? But like, assume that the current owner, the previous owners have not done that service, and make sure you account for that. So then when you do your pre-purchase inspection and they catch like, hey, this has already been done, okay, cool, I've got the peace of mind, but I know I still need to check it out, right? So look for things like that, because you can still work it to your advantage. Like, hey, I understand that you haven't addressed this transmission issue. Why don't we negotiate a little bit, right? Don't have the seller do it for you, because they're going to do it the cheapest way possible. Take it to your guy, or if you're mechanically inclined, do it yourself, whatever, right? And usually I'd be like, all right, this typically costs about $500-600, when we meet in the middle somewhere, right? And they're like, all right, cool, fine, whatever. If you're willing to buy today, right, be ready to buy. Don't just be kicking tires. Like, if you're serious about this particular vehicle, be like, I will buy today if we can make this deal.
Yeah,
right?
And have your price. I mean, then that gets into negotiation, man. I can negotiate, but I'm not the greatest at it. Maybe we'll get an episode and we talk about the keys to negotiation. Because I think that'd be a good episode. But you're absolutely right. Edmunds.com is a really good resource for that sort of thing. They'll run down every car, every year, every manufacturer, and they'll tell you the history of those vehicles. So when you're doing your due diligence, you want to hit those type websites. Carfax, almost every place you go to buy a car has a Carfax on the car, right? But and still run the VIN, look at that, try to avoid anything that has over three owners. You don't really want to do that. Of course, you don't want anything that's been in an accident. You know what I mean? You want to avoid that. And they'll tell you frame damage or light accidents or whatever. You got that sort of stuff out there. But yeah, do your due diligence. And then when someone's trying to sell a car, man, they're not going to let the deal fall off for $250. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a $500 repair coming up. They know what that repair costs. And you're coming in and like, hey, just split the difference with me, man, and we can go ahead and we can sign this deal. They're going to go ahead and do it. So that's great, man.
Speaking of due diligence, two more things that I would also recommend people doing is just do a simple Google search. Put in like common issues for whatever the car is, right? Let's say, I don't know, what's the car that you're interested in, man? Just give me something.
Me, my next car is going to be a Panamera. I'm going to get this house, and then I'm going to get a Panamera.
All right, so put in common issues 2017 Porsche Panamera, and it'll give you that, right? And then second thing, YouTube videos for specific Porsche guys, right? Or that are coming with it. A couple of that I would recommend that I've used in myself is Scotty Kilmer, the Car Wizard, and Eric the Car Guy, right? Those guys will sit there and tell you if they work on them, what to look out for or what to avoid, right? They might even tell you, you know what, the Panamera may not be a good idea, right?
And I've watched those guys. And by the way, they love the Panamera. I ain't gonna lie. That's Porsche. Porsche makes a good car. That engine is solid. You know what I mean? And people who buy Porsches, and this is like a little bit off topic, but people who buy Porsches tend to take care of those cars because it's a niche market. Yeah. But it's not like buying a Honda. You have people out there who will destroy a Honda, destroy a Volkswagen, trying to make it a street racer, and then they'll take all that stuff off, put all the factory stuff back on. You think the car is fine, and then mechanic can get under there and like, man, this thing is shot.
Yeah.
Like,
That's why it's
we're gonna
important to
need
do your due
15 grand to
diligence.
fix it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I
do your
blocked
due
you. Say again.
diligence. No, that's what I'm saying. Is the point to do your due diligence. Let's say if you're mechanically inclined, maybe you can get away with it by doing your own inspection, like thorough inspection. Push all the buttons, get under the hood, look for, have a rag with you, check for leaks, that kind of thing, and knowing the common issues that that car might have, right? So that can help you negotiate or at least ask questions. And also another important question to ask the seller: why are you selling the vehicle? Right? Maybe there's a reason, right? It could be something simple like, I just I don't need the car, and it was an extra car. I got like four. I only need three, right? Or it could be like, well, my family's growing, so I need something bigger, or I'm an empty nester now, so I don't need as big a vehicle, something like that.
Yeah.
At least it'll give you an idea of like why they're trying to offload this vehicle.
Say, or I'm getting out of debt and I'm selling everything. You want to buy this house?
There you go. There you go.
So,
And that does happen,
yo,
man. People are like, yo, I just need to get out. And I'm trying to get out of it. And those ones can be key because they're like, yo, they're trying to get rid of it, so you might get a better deal. Those are a little bit harder to find, but it's possible.
it's possible. So, and look, man, Chris, you were worried that you were gonna be nervous, and I don't know how I'm gonna do. Dude, you did an outstanding job, brother. Outstanding job. Shout out to you, man. That was
Hey, soundboard. There we go.
yeah, outstanding job, bro. Thanks for doing this, man. I really
Yeah, man.
appreciate it.
Thanks
A
for having
lot
me.
of gems dropped here, man. There's some real solid information. Again, we're not financial people. We're just talking about Chris's struggles and what he did to go from being broke with no hope to being a financial G. So, and that's where you're at right now, man. You're a big G, man. You're stumping with the big dogs. That much closer to getting that yacht. I'm saying he's gonna be a half yacht. I hope y'all gonna be half yachts. You know what I mean? Let's go over a couple in the last few minutes here. We'll go over a couple more chats and saying this show came at the right time for me. About to get my first car, bro.
All right, there you go.
Absolutely, do your research. I wouldn't buy new right now. And if you can, I would suggest maybe even holding out another 30 to 60 days because I do believe that the used car market is going to be some good buys out there because of gas. And people going to be bringing in cars that they don't want to get electric and get EV and all that kind of stuff. So
You think it's gonna start to stabilize a little bit?
I think that people just want to dump their SUVs and try to get them something that's really good on gas, i.e. electric. Especially the Uber people, they can't afford. If they're in a gas vehicle, like it really messes up their money. So they get an electric vehicle. You know what I mean? But yeah, brother, do your research. There might be some deals coming up. I know for a fact that the Porsche market is already starting to come down. I know for a fact that the high end market, my cousin's in the market for a Range Rover. Funny enough, like you brought it up. And this is what he does. He's like all about cars. He's in the market for a Range Rover, and he's already told me like, yo, man, the prices are coming down. He was looking at one car, it's come down $10,000 already.
Yeah, okay.
And he was like, I'm like, yo, that sounds good, but I mean, they were really grossly overpriced. He's like, yeah, it's still high, but it was overpriced $20,000. Now they're like, all right, they slashed it down to 10 right off rip. That was last week. They're still calling him. They can't move the vehicle, and those basic rules apply when you're going to look for a car. You want to go at the end of the month. If you can go at the end of the year, if you can go towards the end of December, that's when you're going to find the best deals because they want to clear out all the cars for the incoming inventory. They're willing to make deals. And I would shy away from new cars. I would focus on used cars, but it's up to you, brother. If you haven't bought a new car, do it one time. You know what I mean? Get your butt spanked, and you'll see what we talking about. You'll be back on here like, you was right, Saint. That was stupid. I should have bought a used car.
Yo, and another point too, man. Whiskey, man. You let me know when you get that 911. I want to go for a ride, and I want to drive that flicker. And get a manual if you can.
Yeah, get them, mate. They're hard to find. They are hard to find. I'm telling you. And when you're looking for 911s and stuff like that, man, like the 911s right now, man, the prices are dropping. I have another cousin who's well to do. She has a yacht. She just ain't bought it yet. She's talking about buying one. I'm not even joking. She's like, I think I'm gonna get a yacht. She lives out of yeah, she's doing well. Anyway, she's looking for a 911, and I'm looking for one for her. And I'm telling you, the prices are starting to dip. And I think it's going to be a huge price decrease coming in the next 30 to 60 days with this gas thing. So, yo, man, let me know what you get. And there's a lot of 911s out there, bro. So if you're trying to get one of those $300,000, man, let me ride in that too. You know what I mean?
That's like a GT2 RS or something like that.
Yeah, and the Spider. Oh my God, man. Uncle Saint ain't doing none of that. I ain't trying to spend that much money. And just give me a basic. And matter of fact, I went to Panamera, and those things are excellently engineered. It's the best balanced engineered vehicle I ever drove or rode in. And the first one I was in was a Boxer. I mean, it was a true a true roaster. So yeah, Chris did kill it, man. Yeah,
thanks
shout
for
out to
seeing
you,
that.
Chris. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that,
Fire podcast. Thank you, Candace. You know what I mean? But Sean Denise, how you doing, love? What's up? Yeah, back at it. I see. Yeah, I'm trying to grind. I'm trying to get there. That's one of my come from my Suzette Speaks fam right there. So good to see you, love. I'm glad you're here. Thank you on a Sunday. I know you was probably at church doing all the good things because you know what I mean. She's noble. She is absolutely noble. A true G on the female side. Don 007, the best time to buy cars at the end of January when everybody's Christmas broke. Yeah, that's true.
So that's another thing I just recently learned that, right? Is that November, December, January, February time frame seems to be a good time because people got the holidays and then after the holidays. So nobody's really buying stuff. I was like, yo, January, February, before all the tax season hits.
Yeah, when they ran out of money. Absolutely. So and then Candace hit up Sam's Club about once every 3 weeks for gas, yeah, because you don't drive nowhere. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah,
So hey, this was a great podcast, brother. We're gonna have to do another one. We'll do we'll check in and we'll do another one, man. And I'll definitely be hitting you up when I have other folks on because your knowledge is outstanding in that field as far as your personal travels and how you manage to get out of that. Because again, as we know, most Americans can't get out of debt. And
Yeah,
if you
man.
can't, if you don't have enough money to absorb a $400 unexpected expense, you really need to sit down with yourself and figure out what's going on. I
You
mean,
need
real
to
talk.
have an honest look at your finances, right? And
Honest
it's gonna be
look.
tough. It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough. So we are done. Yeah, I went to church. Yes, I know you did, girl. I ain't mad at you. You the real. You know what I mean? And we need more women like you. You know what I mean? I know you're on the blue pill side, but you got a red pill lens. You just don't know it yet. Like you keep messing with Uncle Saint. We're gonna get you over here closer to the red pill side, get you unplugged. And it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? You once you talk to us long enough, you'll see what we're talking about. It's not a bad thing. So, all right, we're out of time. Thank you again, Chris, man. I was fire.
Man,
You know
thanks
what
for
I mean?
having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. That's Chris. I'm DL Saint. I'll talk to y'all later.